This chilling photo from 1938 shows a woman testing a stroller designed to protect infants from toxic gas attacks. At first glance, it seems almost absurd, like a prop from a dystopian movie, but this was real life on the brink of World War II. As nations prepared for chemical warfare, inventors scrambled to create devices that could save the most vulnerable, babies. The result was this airtight stroller, complete with a filtration system to keep deadly gases out. Imagine being a parent back then, facing the unthinkable, having to plan for your child's survival in a world preparing for poison from the skies. This jaw-dropping photo captures stuntwoman and pilot Gladys Roy blindfolded, standing on the wing of a biplane in 1924. Yes, blindfolded. At a time when aviation itself was still in its infancy, daredevils like Gladys pushed the limits of what was humanly possible, performing death-defying stunts thousands of feet above the ground with no safety harness, no nets, and no second chances. Wing walking became a popular spectacle during the barnstorming era, thrilling crowds and cementing pilots and performers as legends of the sky. Just imagine the roar of the engine, the rush of the wind, and the sheer audacity of risking it all for a moment of glory. This eerie yet fascinating photo shows hundreds of children wearing identical Mickey Mouse masks inside a packed theater in 1930. What was meant to be a cheerful fan event now feels straight out of a surreal horror film. The Mickey Mouse Club was a cultural phenomenon, uniting kids across America in their love for Disney's iconic character. At a time when cartoons were still a novelty, this club gave children a sense of belonging, and the masks were a symbol of that excitement. But looking back today, the uniformity of those smiling faces feels haunting, a strange snapshot of early pop culture obsession. At first glance, this haunting image looks like something from a horror film, but it's actually a story of survival. In the 1930s, medical treatments for severe burns and extreme sun sensitivity were primitive. This boy, fully wrapped in protective gear, including a mask with eye and mouth holes, lived in a world where direct sunlight could be deadly. His suit wasn't fashion, it was a lifeline. It's a powerful reminder of how far medical science has come and how resilience often looks unsettling to modern eyes. What do you see? Fear, hope, or strength? This eerie image captures a moment in 1937 when thousands of members of the Soviet Young Pioneers marched wearing gas masks. What looks like a scene from an apocalyptic movie was actually a chilling reality. They were preparing for chemical warfare drills during a time when fear of gas attacks loomed over Europe. With war on the horizon and propaganda shaping every aspect of life, even children were trained for survival in the most extreme scenarios. It's a haunting reminder of how deeply conflict infiltrated daily life, even childhood. This curious figure is none other than the early version of the Michelin Man, known as Bibendum, photographed at the Paris Motor Show in 1907. Unlike the friendly mascot we recognize today, this version looks almost robotic, with rigid, layered rings and an unsettling human-like posture. At the dawn of the automotive age, Michelin used this futuristic design to showcase tire innovation and durability. What's fascinating is how this strange creation, over a century old, evolved into one of the most recognizable brand icons in the world. From eerie beginnings to global fame, Bibendum's story is pure marketing history. What you're looking at is a jaw-dropping demonstration of the Sikorsky R-5 helicopter in Bridgeport, Connecticut, back in 1946. In this daring test, the helicopter lifted 18 passengers into the air, most of them hanging onto the landing gear. This bold stunt wasn't just for show. It was meant to prove the incredible potential of vertical lift aircraft for the future of aviation. At a time when helicopters were still experimental, moments like this sparked a revolution in rescue missions, mail delivery, and military operations. Today, it's hard to imagine life without them, But it all started with risky demonstrations like this one. Imagine this. It's the roaring 20s, and these women are having lunch, surrounded by alligators. Yes, this isn't a movie scene. It's real. In Los Angeles, alligator farms were once a popular attraction, where visitors could dine just inches away from these dangerous reptiles. People believed it was thrilling, even glamorous, to enjoy a meal while predators circled their feet. Today, this would be unthinkable, but back then, it was the ultimate daredevil experience. Would you sit down for this kind of picnic? This is not a movie scene. This really happened. Marilyn Monroe, the ultimate Hollywood icon, stepping onto a U.S. military jet, surrounded by airmen who can't believe their eyes. It was the golden age of American glamour, and Monroe wasn't just a star. She was a symbol of hope and excitement during uncertain times. Her visits to troops brought smiles, morale, and a touch of Hollywood magic to the military world. Just look at those faces. They knew they were witnessing history. What you're looking at is not a scene from a sci-fi movie. It's real history. In 1882, this massive wheel tricycle was considered cutting-edge transportation. Inventors at the time were experimenting with all sorts of wild ideas to make travel faster and more efficient, and some of those ideas look absolutely bizarre today. Imagine riding this contraption on dirt roads, with no brakes like we know them today, just pure balance and courage. This design never became mainstream, but it shows how innovation often looks strange before it changes the world. Would you dare take a ride on this Victorian beast? This haunting image shows babies strapped into makeshift bassinets aboard a Pan Am flight during Operation Babylift in 1975. As the Vietnam War neared its devastating end, chaos consumed Saigon. In those final days, the U.S. launched a daring humanitarian mission, evacuating thousands of orphaned Vietnamese children to safety in America and other countries. It was an extraordinary act of hope amid unimaginable despair, but it wasn't without tragedy. The first flight crashed shortly after takeoff, killing dozens, including many children. Yet, despite the risks, the mission continued, saving over 3,000 lives. Could you imagine trusting a newborn's life to such a desperate plan? This rare photo captures an unexpected pairing. Winston Churchill, the future British Prime Minister, and Coco Chanel, the legendary French fashion designer, posing during a countryside hunt in 1921. At the time, Churchill was already a towering political figure, and Chanel was revolutionizing fashion with her bold, modern designs. Their friendship symbolized a fascinating intersection of politics and style, a world where diplomacy and haute couture intertwined. Imagine the conversations they might have shared, strategy and elegance, war stories and fashion dreams. Who could have guessed that these two icons, so different yet so influential, would share a moment like this? In 1963, visitors to the Bronx Zoo encountered a shocking exhibit. Instead of a ferocious beast, they found themselves. The display featured a mirror with the words, "You are looking at the most dangerous animal in the world. It alone can exterminate, and has exterminated, entire species of animals. Now it has the power to wipe out all life on Earth." This bold message came at the height of the Cold War, a time when nuclear annihilation felt frighteningly possible. It was a chilling reminder that humanity's greatest threat has never been nature. It's ourselves. A lesson as relevant today as it was then. Imagine walking into a room and seeing this. Alfred Hitchcock, the master of suspense, calmly serving tea to a lion. Yes, this isn't Photoshop. It's a real photo of Hitchcock with Leo, the iconic MGM lion, captured during a publicity stunt. Hitchcock was famous for his dark humor and theatrical flair, and this image perfectly reflects that. While the scene looks bizarre and even dangerous, it was meant to grab headlines and remind audiences of his eccentric genius. It's a fascinating glimpse into an era when Hollywood's boldness and Hitchcock's creativity knew no limits. A lion at tea? Only Hitchcock could pull this off. This is one of the most iconic weddings in modern history. Princess Elizabeth, the future Queen of the United Kingdom, marrying Prince Philip on November 20th, 1947. The ceremony took place at Westminster Abbey, just 2 years after World War II ended, a time when Britain was still recovering from devastation and rationing. Yet this wedding brought a sense of hope and renewal to a weary nation. Elizabeth's gown, designed by Norman Hartnell, was embroidered with over 10,000 pearls and inspired by Botticelli's Primavera. Millions tuned in on radio across the globe, marking the beginning of a royal love story that would last more than 7 decades. What you're looking at isn't the aftermath of a street brawl or a boxing match. It's the result of a snowball fight at Princeton University in 1893. Back then, these battles were a fierce winter tradition between freshmen and sophomores. What started as a playful exchange often turned into a brutal contest of pride and dominance. Students armed themselves with icy, rock-hard snowballs, and protective gear was virtually non-existent. Black eyes, bloody noses, and even broken bones were common trophies of these frozen wars. For the students, it wasn't just fun, it was a rite of passage. Hard to imagine college life like this today, isn't it? This photo captures an unforgettable moment from the golden age of Japanese cinema. 2 of Toho Studios' most bizarre creations, Godzilla and the Half-Human, standing side by side behind the scenes in 1955. Far from the terrifying creatures that roared across the silver screen. Here, they're just 2 actors in heavy rubber suits, probably taking a break between exhausting shoots. Back then, there were no CGI effects. Only practical costumes weighing over 200 pounds, trapping heat and sweat inside. The men inside these suits endured incredible conditions to bring these iconic monsters to life. Looking at this photo, it's amazing how movie magic transformed this into sheer terror on screen. This rare photograph takes us inside the New York Stock Exchange in 1928, just 1 year before the Great Depression changed everything. The man in the picture is a telephone operator, the essential link between frantic brokers on the trading floor and clients making million-dollar decisions from afar. Notice the heavy wooden phone booths and the operator's serious expression. Every second mattered in a world where fortunes were made and lost in minutes. There were no computers, no digital screens, just telephones, ticker tape, and pure human adrenaline. Looking at this image, you can almost feel the tension of Wall Street's golden age, right before it all came crashing down. This photo from 1939 captures a simple street scene in Memphis, Tennessee, but behind the man casually leaning against the wall is an ad that changed American kitchens forever, Wonder Bread. By this time, Wonder Bread had introduced something revolutionary, pre-sliced bread. Yes, the phrase "the best thing since sliced bread" comes from this very innovation. Its colorful polka dot packaging became an icon of modern convenience during the Great Depression, when families sought affordable, reliable food. The brand didn't just sell bread, it sold the promise of progress. Looking at this ad today, it's a reminder of how something so ordinary completely transformed daily life.